Okay, so we're here with period 1 going over division of polynomials, and we've set up our long division problem for example 1. Key thing here is whatever's written first, whatever polynomial is written first, it's going to go underneath your division symbol. That's the dividend. And whatever's written second, it's going to go outside. That's the divisor. Also, you should notice that we have a placeholder because we are missing an x term in the dividend. Okay, so let's go over what you learned in 5th grade. Okay, the way to do this is to look at your first term in the divisor, which is x. How many times does x go into 3x cubed? Well, let me phrase it this way. What am I going to write up here that when I multiply by x, I'm going to get 3x cubed? 3. No, well, I don't know why negative's happening. 3x squared. There we go. So I'm going to write 3x squared at the top here. Okay? So if I take 3x squared and multiply by x, I get 3x cubed. Right? And think back to elementary school. That's what you want. You want these to match. Because when we subtract, we need it to be 0. It needs to go away. Okay? But that's not the only thing in the divisor. See this minus 2? So what's 3x squared times negative 2? What's 3x squared times negative 2? Negative 6x squared. Okay? Now with long division, after you multiply those, we're going to subtract. Okay? It will always happen, if you did this correctly, that the first thing will make 0. But what is 4x squared minus negative 6x squared? Sad. It's 10x squared. Because 4 minus a negative 6 is actually 4 plus 6, which is 10. I know it's a little challenging because we're subtracting 4 minus negative 6. All right? Now, I'm going to bring down this 0x and repeat the process. How many times does x go into 10x squared? Well, let me say it the other way. What am I going to write up here that when I multiply by x, I get 10x squared? 10x. There we go. We're starting to get it. So plus 10x. So that's going to be 10x squared. And what is 10x times negative 2? Negative 20x. Okay, I'm going to subtract again. You know this is going to be 0. But what about 0x minus negative 20x? That's actually going to be positive 20x, right? Because 0 minus a negative is actually 0 plus a positive. Okay, we're almost there. Bring down the 10. What am I going to write up here that when I multiply by x, I get 20x? 20. So I get 20x. And what's 20 times negative 2? Negative 40. Last subtraction. We know that becomes 0. What is 10 minus negative 40? It's 50. All right. Does anyone know what this is called, this 50? No. The remainder. Nice job. So what your brain thought was if we were doing decimals, you put a decimal and then keep going, right? But we're not doing decimals, we're doing polynomials. So we're done. We're out of terms. All right. So here's how you write the remainder. See this 50? You're going to write plus at the top. No, not R50, right? This is so not elementary school. Plus 50, but I love where your head's at. Plus 50 over the divisor x minus 2. And that is called the quotient. Right, Zach? Oh my gosh, that was fun. Now, who wants to do that again? No one, right? Most students don't want to do that again. Do you want to teach? Do you want to learn a faster way? Yes. Let's do a faster way. Now, what we just did was called long division. All right? What I'm going to teach you to do is called synthetic division, or a shorthand way to do this. Now, there's a couple of rules here, all right? In order to do this, you must have your polynomial, your dividend, in standard form, okay? So you guys know from the very first lesson this week that if it's not in standard form, put it in standard form. Okay, so if your dividend is in standard form, that's good. You also must use 0 and a coefficient for any missing terms. Remember that placeholder I just used, that 0x? We've got to do that when we do synthetic division as well. And finally, the last thing is your divisor must be in the form x minus a. It could say x plus a number, but the main thing is it has to be linear, x to the first power. All right, if it's not x to the first power, like it's x squared or x cubed, you can't do this. You got to do long division. Okay, let me show you how to do it. Oh man, I'm so excited. What's up? I'm the only one? Well, that's fine. I'm the one recording, so it's all good. Come on in. Just in time for some fake division. All right. Don't worry, only 120 people will see that. Okay, so here we go. Divide using synthetic division. All right, the first question I ask, is the dividend in standard form? Is the dividend in standard form? It is, right? It goes from the highest exponent all the way down to our constant. So that's good. Okay? What about our divisor? Is it in the form x minus a? A lot of students say no, right? Because it has addition, but technically it is. Remember, this just means, is it linear? Does it have x to the first power? It does. Okay, so we're able to do this. You ready? Okay, look at the divisor. Do you see how it says x plus 2? What's the opposite of a positive 2? Negative. So in the corner, I'm going to put negative 2. All right, so in the corner, you're going to put negative 2. Now, next to this, I'm going to put the coefficients from the dividend. Okay, the coefficients from the dividend. Okay, let's count those out. 3, negative 1. What's next? 0. What did Isa see? Very good. There's no x squared, so we have to put a 0. After the 0, 5, and then finally negative 1. Very good. So I'm going to write those down. Yes, Ashley. So what I would say is whatever you start with, Ashley, whether this is x to the 4th power, x to the 3rd power, whatever it is, as you move down to your constant, if you're missing any, you've got to put a 0 for the placeholder. Okay? But you don't have to be like, oh, there's no x to the 5th, so I got to put a 0 out there. No, don't do that. You don't have to like go the other way. Only whatever you start with, as you move down, if it's missing any, put a 0. Okay, who's got questions so far? This is the setup. Okay, here's where it gets fun. Ready? Hopefully you had breakfast this morning. All right. Go to the first coefficient. You see the first coefficient of 3? What? I don't know what's happening. Yes, you should be writing this all down. Take this 3 and just bring it down past the line. Okay, that's always the first step. Step number 1, bless you. Bless you. Take your first coefficient and just bring it down. Okay? So you take this 3, this number, and you're going to multiply it by the number in the corner. So what's 3 times negative 2? Negative 6. And you're going to write it underneath the next coefficient. So 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Now with synthetic division, we're always going to add. We're always going to add. Right? Remember, long division, what did we use? Subtraction. But synthetic division, we're going to use addition. So what's negative 1 plus negative 6? Negative 7. Okay, pause. Questions? Because now we're just going to repeat it. Negative 7 times negative 2 is positive 14. What am I going to do with 0 and 14? Add them and get 14. Repeat. 14 times negative 2, negative 28. Add straight down. 5 plus negative 28. Very good. Repeat. Negative 23 times negative 2 is not 56. It's 46. Okay. And add straight down, and you get 45. Now, go ahead and put this little, opposite little half box like I did over here with the one in the corner. You're going to need that later today, all right, later in this lesson. All right, but I want to show you that that is the remainder. That's the remainder. Yes. Oh, you're missing out on the last part, so let's wait till the last part here. Now, this is the work for synthetic division, all right, but it's not the answer, right? Remember, when we did long division, what was our answer? It was a polynomial, right? It had the variable in it. So we have to have the same idea for synthetic division. So watch how you do it, okay? What did the dividend start with in terms of its exponent? To the fourth power. So my answer is always going to start with 1 degree less. All right, so my answer is going to start with x to the third power. What's this number at the beginning? 3. So I'm going to start with 3x cubed. Now, it's just a coincidence that the coefficient and the degree are the same. That won't always be the case. Okay, the key thing is, what did the dividend start with for its power? To the fourth power. What is my answer going to start with? 1 degree less. 1 degree less. And that hopefully makes sense because we're taking this and dividing it by x to the first power. When you divide by x to the first power, subtracting 1 from the degree. Okay, let's keep going. You see the minus 7? So I'm going to write minus 7x squared. I'm going decreasing each time by 1 in the exponent. Okay, see if your brain guess right now inside your head what I'm going to write next. Plus 14x.
So for the answer, there won't be like a 0.
There could be. Where did my number go? What was this? Negative 28? If there's a 0 here, you could write 0 whatever it is, or you don't have to, right? When you do your answer, I don't have to see the placeholders. I need to see the placeholders when I'm doing the actual division part, okay? I think it's going to come up, maybe not, it'll probably come up at the end of the class, okay? All right, keep going. Minus 23. Now, what do you notice with that 23? It doesn't have a variable. So do you see that number 45? That 45 is the remainder. Here's how you write it. Plus 45 divided by our divisor, x plus 2. And you've done it. Me too. It's fun. It becomes like a little pattern, and then you have competitions who can do it the fastest. Okay. Now, a couple of key things to remember. All right, so let's listen. Let me summarize for 1 minute a couple of things that are going to trip you up. Number 1, make sure it's in standard form. Number 2, make sure you check for any missing coefficients here, right? You might need to put in a placeholder if you're missing anything. All right, that's the main thing. When you look at your divisor, all right, what do you have to think before you put the number in the corner? Think opposite. Gotta think opposite, guys. Okay, that's the most common mistake, is students don't think opposite. All right, when you're doing the work, you're always doing what as you go down? Always using addition. You're always using addition with synthetic division. Okay, and don't forget at the end, that last number, the remainder, is divided by the divisor. You should be good. Okay, so let's